Okay, dude. Regarding the sponsorship debacle that happened last week, I
Right,
took the
right.
initiative. I went out. I contacted the sponsor, and I got things Straightened out. They were cool with it. They were happy that we're getting things worked out here. So they sent me a swag package actually to say everything's hunky dory and we're going forward. Everything's going to be cool. All right. So I just wanted
Good.
to quickly show the swag package that we got. This awesome Coors Light cooler. That's pretty sweet, eh?
Dude,
What?
I'm a, I thought we were on board with Bud Light.
Are you serious? Like, cue the intro.
The following presentation has been brought to you by HSF Productions.
Hey guys, welcome back to IWP, the Impromptu Wrestling Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Tally006. Over to my left, as always, is my brother Damien. How's it going this week?
Doing really well. How are you, man?
Doing good. I got a lot of work done this week. I rearranged the command center here, got everything set up and stuff, so I'm pretty excited about that. Hopefully, things are looking and sounding similar to how we had it before. But yeah, I'm excited about what's going on down here in the command center.
Yeah, I can't
Um,
wait to check it out.
yeah, big news, I guess we can talk about really quick because you're coming into Dauphin this weekend to watch Double or Nothing. I'm assuming that's why you're coming here, right?
Yeah, I mean, just a bonus that I'll see, mom and dad as well.
Yeah, it's for Double or Nothing. Yeah.
That's right.
So yeah, pretty exciting week for us. I mean, we're gonna do a prediction show for Double or Nothing. We're gonna get together Saturday night. We're gonna watch Double or Nothing, and then I can only assume that we're gonna jump on and record a reaction results show like almost right away, or if not early Sunday morning, probably. So stay tuned for that. Speaking of which, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave comments below on what your predictions are for Double or Nothing, your reactions to what we're about to talk about this week, being the Elite, AEW Dark, and Dynamite. But what do you say we get right into this week's show?
Do it.
Let's do it. All right. So, being the Elite, episode 204 entitled Monologue. Just right off the bat, this was not a good episode. I did not enjoy this episode. I don't know. It just didn't flow well. What were your thoughts overall on the episode?
Yeah, I don't know if it was maybe the beginning that kind of ruined it. That cold open just, I don't know, seemed a bit weird. And yeah,
Yeah.
there was something off about it. I was also watching it kind of in between commercials of Dynamite, so it didn't
Okay.
have a good flow for me either.
Right. Well, let's just quickly run through. I'll try. Well, we're gonna try not to spend too much time on being the elite this week. Last week it was a little overboard, but quickly run through all the segments that we had on this week's episode. So you mentioned there was like a cold open of the show, ran a little bit long. Basically, Kenny and Colt Cabana are on a Zoom call and they kind of work out their issues. That was just way too long of a segment. I felt it then goes into Matt Jackson at home, and Mama or Mrs. Matt telling him to take the garbage out, and he goes in and he's kind of upset about it, and then he busts into the wall and shows color, which was, I don't know. That must be his new gimmick for the show, I guess. We get back to Kenny and Colt dragging this thing out even longer. This was probably the better part of the segment because it got into more Kenny's still trying to bury Colt, and it was back to being funny again.
Mhm.
which was all right. We got more Private Party, continuing the saga. They both meet up and talk about that. It's Hangman Page who's behind all the attacks, and they issue a challenge out to the teddy bear and Bones. I believe they called him the boogeyman looking guy. I think they called him Bones. So look forward to that in next week's episode of Being the Elite. There'll be a match between Private Party, the Teddy Bear, and Bones. As we move along in the episode, Nick's standing outside. He must be waiting for Matt. Matt's running a bit late. He finally shows up. He's got the Band-Aid on his forehead from where he was busted open earlier. I thought that was a nice touch. That could have been something that they totally forgot to acknowledge or something like that, but I thought it was clever. And basically Nick and Papa Buck are building a ring in the backyard, and they kind of showed a quick time-lapse video of them laying down the planks and stuff for the ring. So it'd be interesting to see where they're going to go with that. If we're going to see more matches on Being the Elite, which, I mean, I'd be fine with it. It worked for that lead up to episode 200.
I hope they do, yeah.
Yeah. Kenny, and back to Kenny and Colt again. I mean, this was pretty much the whole episode. I was basically over it by now. But it is what it is. They're going to be working on a new long-term storyline that, like I mentioned earlier, Kenny's basically burying Colt. He's not going to be on Being the Elite for 2 years at least. But good long-term booking for Colt.
Right.
Yeah.
In the end, he's going to put him over, right?
In the end, he's going to put him over, yeah. But, 100 episodes from now. We get another Justin Roberts spotting, and him with the ponytail just looking around. I'm not getting this bit. I liked the where he's warming up his voice and practicing St. John. Like that was a better bit than this, I felt, but it is what it is. And then we get episode 2 of Hangman Gets Drunk and Lives in the Woods, and this was probably the, I don't even want to say the highlight, because I think this whole episode was kind of a low for Being the Elite, but Hangman is always entertaining, but this segment again was still a little long-winded. What did you think?
Yeah, it's we always like Being the Elite for the comedy part of it, and for a lot of this episode it wasn't, and then the Hangman Page part at least was funny. He runs out of liquor and whatnot, and he says there's always an alternative, and then he's drinking out of a cup that looks like he's drinking piss.
Yeah.
And then he's talking about how he's climbed some tree and he saw an eagle, and then it reminded him that he should go home. So I don't know. What do you think? I'm kind of expecting that next week he's not going to be in the woods anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe this little segment's done. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's almost like they weren't sure how long Hangman was going to be out of like Dynamite. Where to get himself over, or at least keep himself relevant, they needed something for him to do on Being the Elite. So they kind of came up, or I'm assuming maybe Hangman came up. He's like, oh, I got a, little forest behind my house, and I could go out and pretend like I'm living in the woods. But then, as we'll talk about later on in Dynamite, this week's episode of Dynamite, like, Hangman's back. So, yeah, maybe he doesn't need to live in the woods anymore. So, yeah. I don't know, but
do you think up to like maybe this week he might not have been at Double or Nothing? They didn't really know.
I was wondering that. Yeah, that I kind of had that in the back of my mind. I think we mentioned it last week how like it's Inner Circle versus Elite, but who's going to be a part of the Elite? You knew Kenny and you knew Matt Hardy. Matt and Nick were probably for sure, or but there was still a bit of a question mark, and then it was like, well, where's Hangman? Who's gonna fill in for Hangman? And I don't know. It was, I don't know. It was all up in the air, really.
Yeah.
So. But we got all our answers this week. But kind of a low point for being the elite after 5 or 6 really solid weeks of episodes is kind of disappointing to see. Did anything in the episode stand out to you that you want to talk about a little bit more? Or?
I think the only thing that I thought about this episode is we were kind of left with the cliffhanger of the whole Marco stunt and this woman talking in this window, and then
there was no follow-up.
That never happened this week. So
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know. This seems kind of inconsistent, but
right.
Maybe they couldn't film something. Who knows?
Or maybe they're saving it for next week. Who knows? But yeah, I kind of had that in the back of my mind too. That it's like, well, where was the payoff for that? He's just cheering for himself to outside of this apartment building. It was weird.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, like I said, kind of a low point for being the elite, but I mean, I'm still looking forward to watching episode 205 next week on Monday. So hopefully they come back with a little bit better of an episode.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to AEW Dark from Tuesday night.
This was another huge Dark, hey?
Excalibur
like 9 matches again.
Yeah, Excalibur kind of called it the super show or the super card of AEW Dark.
Yeah,
last couple of weeks.
Insane. So I don't think we're gonna have time to kind of dissect all the matches, but we'll go through them. In the first match, we had Danny Jordan again versus Hikaru Shida. In the next match, Shida won that one. In the next match, we had Clutch Adams versus QT Marshall. And I'm not recognizing the name Clutch Adams. I didn't recognize to look at him.
Yeah, I believe he was. I believe he was debuting.
Okay. QT Marshall won that. In the next match, we had Jason Cade, who we've seen before, versus Marco Stunt. This was an interesting match.
This was a really good match, actually.
Yeah, we got to see a lot of what Marco Stunt can do. He goes over in that one. In the next match, we had Musa versus Lee Johnson, who we seen last week, tagging up. They were going against Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc. And if I caught this correctly, they're calling this tag team the Super Bad Squad. And the Super Bad Squad goes over in this one. Good match there.
Super Bad Squad. This much better of a name than Death Triangle. Just this much, though.
Just a little bit. Then we had the Captain Sean Dean, who we've seen before, versus Ray Phoenix. And
this was a really good match, too.
Yeah. Then we had John Cruz versus Luther. So good that we're seeing Luther again. Luther goes over in that one. And we had Ryan Rembrandt, who we saw last week, teaming up with Mike Reed, who we've seen before in the past. And they're going up against Private Party. And Private Party goes over in that one, as we expected. Alan Angels, who we've been gassing up every time we see him on Dark. He was going up against Sammy Guevara. This was a really good match as well. I really enjoyed this one. And in the main event, we had Serpentico versus Darby Allin. And this Serpentico, had we seen him before? Was he on like a buy-in or something like that?
This is a debut, AEW debut as well. So
okay.
And this guy's, I mean, quite the entrance. He's got quite the gimmick going. He's got kind of a different style lucha mask. It's not, kind of the Rey Mysterio, Rey Phoenix style. He's got kind of like a hockey chin guard looking mask. It's like way down here and kind of way up here. It looks kind of cool.
Very Canadian thing of you to say.
Yeah, no one knows what I'm talking about. Remember Patrick Waugh in '94? That thing wasn't protecting nothing. Like, what does it do? But yeah, this guy's got quite the entrance.
Days, everybody was doing the Patrick Waugh.
But he has quite the entrance. He came up onto the ropes and had streamers and stuff like that, and got a good pop out of Excalibur. So I mean, something to watch. And he put on a really good match with contrasting style of Darby Allin. So those two worked really well together. Was there any moments in this episode of Dark that kind of stood out to you?
Not really. I did a lot of kind of skipping through it just because it's like
Right.
almost an hour and a half, which I'm not complaining about. Like, it's awesome to have all of this extra content. But when most of these guys, like, they're not main roster guys, then I was just kind of skimming through it. So what about you? Were you able to watch it all?
I watched most of the matches. Like I kind of mentioned while you were reading them out, the Marco Stunt match against Jason Cade was like surprisingly well done. Jason Cade's playing the role of like coming in, and he's just like, okay, buddy, let's see what you got, and for a smaller guy to look big against somebody like Marco Stunt, and he played that big man role. He was doing a lot of just strikes. He wasn't doing wrestling moves per se, and he worked really well with Marco Stunt. Marco Stunt was pulling off poison ranas and hurricane ranas and tornado DDTs, doing all the Marco Stunt stuff. This was a really good match. Like I can't say anything more than go out and watch this match. It was really good.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing I wanted to mention was Mike Reed looks like Tyler Breeze's mugshot from a DUI arrest. Like, am I wrong in thinking this? Or...
No, I mean, when I saw him, I'm like, he does remind me of somebody, but it never
quite clicked.
Sort of, yeah. But yeah, now I'm forever gonna see that vision in my mind.
Like God forbid, hopefully Tyler Breeze doesn't fall off the rails and ends up one of those famous celebrity mugshots. But I'm telling you, the comparisons when that does happen, if that does happen, these two pictures are going to go side by side. Like it's uncanny. But yeah, if Tyler Breeze and Billy Gunn had a kid, it would be Mike Reed.
This is who it would be.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Yeah. So yeah, really good episode of AEW Dark. Go check out those matches. Ray Phoenix back in action, doing great stuff. Darby Allin and that Serpentico put on a really good match, and Jason Cade and Marco Stunt, really great match. So go check these ones out. Let's move on to some breaking kayfabe, some sad news out of the wrestling world. This was kind of a week-long story. Early Monday or Sunday night or early Monday, Shad Gaspard was out in the ocean swimming with his kid, and a riptide had come in. He was able to save his boy, got him into shore, or close enough that the kid was able to swim back to shore, but another riptide came in and swept Gaspard out to sea. He was missing for 2 whole days. His body was finally found Wednesday morning and was pronounced dead. So sad news. Rest in peace, Shad Gaspard. If you're not familiar with him, I know it's kind of an obscure name, but he was part of the WWE tag team called Crime Time that were really popular in the mid 2000s. These were guys that, as much as the gimmick was kind of silly and almost stereotypical, borderline racism on what people think gangsters are, that was kind of their gimmick, right? They were thugs. I believe at the beginning of it, they were coming out with like fake handguns and they wore the 50 Cent bulletproof vests and shit like that. Like, I mean, they're trying to be gangsters, but these were two guys that Vince McMahon loved. And there's a lot of behind the scenes footage of them goofing around with Vince in the back, and Vince just had he liked these guys, and Vince had some nice words to say about Shad after the news broke on his Twitter and stuff like that. So again, just sad news that a wrestling family member was lost to such tragic events. So yeah.
Yeah, and it just seems too often these days we're doing this kind of segment on the show, right? But it sounded like he affected a lot of people.
Yeah.
Vanilla Brand, AEW, everybody had something to say.
Yeah.
He touched a lot of people, even if it was for a brief moment.
Yeah, like I said, like it's an obscure name. You know, if you weren't really following it, you might not have ever heard of him. But it seemed like everybody in the business, like my Twitter feed, was just full of condolences and RIPS for this guy. So yeah, sad news.
Mm-hmm.
But let's move on to this week's power rankings for May 20th, 2020.
All right, in the men's division, we had just a little bit of movement. We got Cody, still the number one contender, with our champ, John Moxley. Lance Archer still at number 2. Brody Lee moves up one position to number 3. Kenny Omega falls one position to number 4. And Darby Allin rounds out the top 5.
Can I just interject for a second?
Sure.
Little bit of news. Someone had asked Tony Khan on Twitter how the singles rankings are going to be working with the new championship being crowned on Saturday, that being the TNT championship. And basically Tony Khan said that there won't be, or there will be, I can't remember, but I believe it's going to be, it's the same rankings, but that number one contender can basically choose which championship he is number one contender for.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what I read.
I thought I read the number 2 position was going to be for the TNT championship.
Okay.
I don't know. We'll have to clarify that for
So
next week.
yeah, but let's just talk about that. Like, how would you book this TNT championship ranking system? Would you keep it one singles wrestling wrestlers men's rankings, or do you separate them and there's an AEW championship rankings and a TNT championship rankings? How would you do it?
Yeah, it's tough, because wouldn't you want to be in contention for either one of them?
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like the ranking would be this, like they would be the same, and unless they're putting guys into divisions,
right, which is something
Right.
they said that they don't want to do.
yeah. So it sounds like I think both of those would work, where a guy could choose, or if it's the number 2 contender is the sort of number 1 contender for the TNT championship. Yeah, we'll have to figure out what that one is. Seems like we're hearing different things.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's move on to the women's rankings.
All right, in the women's rankings, we have no changes from last week. So Nyla Rose still our champ. We have Shida, number 1 contender, and they're gonna go at it at Double or Nothing. We have Chris Statlander at number 2, Britt Baker at number 3, Yuka Zakazaki, who are we even sure she's still alive? She's at number 4, and Riho rounds out to the top 5.
This has been the top 5 for what feels like 18 weeks now. It hasn't changed.
Yeah.
In a while.
Yeah, I think Chris Statlander and Baker have kind of done a little bit of switching,
Back and
but
forth.
yeah, it's pretty much been the same.
All right. Tag team.
And we had a lot of movement actually in the tag team division. So Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, still our champs. They will not be fighting for those belts Saturday, but there's going to be a tag team match to determine who will be going up against these guys. So we have Best Friends at the number 1 position, which I think is the first time they've been this high on the rankings. They're up 1. Dark Order falls to number 2. Private Party up 2 positions to number 3. The Young Bucks fall 1 position to number 4, and Jurassic Express goes down 1 position to round out the top 5.
Good stuff.
So that's the rankings, yeah.
Okay, so let's get right into AEW Dynamite. Wednesday, May 20th, I almost said April. May 20th, 2020, live from Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida, headquarters for AEW. We start the show off right away with Brody Lee, Mr. Brody Lee, coming out with number 10. We got Long John Silver and Alex Riley on his left, and a couple of the creepers rounding it out to the right. He cuts a promo, and basically he's telling 10 to decimate and injure John Moxley. Moxley comes out, and we get it was right into the match. What did you think of Brody Lee promo and whatnot?
I felt this was an awkward promo, and I know we had the wrestlers on the side, and they were trying to make noise, and they were booing him, and they were even saying stuff to him, and it kind of seemed like it threw him off. How did you take all of that?
Yeah, I felt like the crowd. It was Austin Gunn. Like, this kid needs to control himself. You're not even. Does he have a contract yet? I don't think so. Why is he out there? But anyways, he's hollering and yelling and just, I don't know, just being annoying, which is fine in the context of a large crowd. Maybe it doesn't stand out as badly, but when there's only 10 people around ringside, that's super annoying. And yeah, I think it got to Brody and was throwing him off a little bit. He went to go turn to 10, and he turned the wrong way, and he had to do like a whole 360. Looked really awkward. Going back to the Vanilla Brand days of Brody Lee, like, he didn't talk on the mic at all. So is he out of practice, kind of dealing with distractions? I'm assuming Tony Khan gave the word to everybody in the back, like, to make noise and do what you got to do to try to have things seem as normal as possible. But, I mean, this just came off really bad. It made Brody Lee look bad. It made the crowd look bad. It just made the whole segment bad. And
Yeah.
I agree with you. It was awkward. I felt bad for Brody Lee. Like I said,
So did I.
Not a lot of time on the mic for him, and this didn't help.
Yeah. But what did you think of the match?
The match was actually really good. I really like this number 10, Preston Vance. When we saw him on Dark a couple months ago, like, this kid is really impressive. He's got the body, he's got the moveset, he's got a good mind, for the business and everything like that. And this match just played out really well. Moxley comes out, with a vengeance right off the start, and gets some attack in. And then there's a moment with him and Aubrey in the middle of the ring, and he's like, yeah, okay, you're right. And then 10 takes advantage. 10 goes on a little bit of a tear on Moxley for a little while, and then it turns around, and Moxley hits like 3 of the biggest moves in his arsenal, basically, and gets the 1, 2, 3. I made a tweet, or I tweeted out near the end of the match that I love that AEW is bringing back pile drivers. WWE basically cut them out, banned pile drivers altogether, aside from the tombstone. But after the Owen Hart, Steve Austin incident, we really don't see pile drivers anymore. But AEW's been bringing them back. It's that kind of gut wrench. I believe Excalibur called it the Gotch style pile driver. Gotch being a legendary wrestler from back in like the 40s or something stupid like this. But the pile drivers are being done safely. When you really look at how they're landing, there really is no danger. Maybe if someone had a weak shoulder, it might pop out on them or something like that. But they seem to be landing on their shoulders, on their legs. I noticed John Moxley even had his knees bent a little bit, landing more on his tailbone and stuff like that. So there wasn't that possibility that the head is kind of underneath the legs. But as safely as these moves are being done, they still look deadly. Like, oh, you know what I mean? So I really enjoyed
And
that.
they're making them finishers too.
Yeah. Yeah, like,
Like
they're devastating moves.
that running one that Chucky T did a few weeks back.
Yeah.
Is insane.
Yeah, it's nuts. So I mean, I'm glad to see them back. I'm glad to see that they're being done safely and that they still look deadly as ever. So keep up the good work there, AEW on Pile Drivers. Awesome. After the match, Moxley grabs the microphone and damn near kills 10 with the chair, throwing it over the ropes. Did you see how that chair landed on him? Holy smokes. He wasn't expecting it.
Yeah. He did good not to really react to it, but
yeah.
you know what? I'm just going to roll over and maybe not get another one in my head.
I always like cringe or flinch when they just toss shit around. Like in the Vanilla brand, you'll always see them grab the shroud from the announce table and they'll just toss it. And I'm like, man, the crowd's right there. And every once in a while, it does take a weird tumble and smoke somebody in the head. They get to go backstage and meet Roman Reigns. Whoop-de-doo. But but yeah, I always cringe when something gets thrown because I just feel like the worst can happen. And, you know, the feet of the chair kind of landed right on this guy's face. So, but anyways, Moxley cuts a promo. Is basically giving Brody Lee 10 seconds to come back with the belt and right the mistakes that he made. Brody Lee comes up on the big screen and basically says, you know, we all got to make sacrifices, and walks away and basically sacrificing 10 to hang on to the belt. What did you think of this whole sequence? This is pretty crazy.
I thought this was a good segue into their match on Saturday. It was just a right call and the right thing to do, and I think 10 needs to come out with like a cast or something.
Oh yeah, he's got to sell this
Saturday
for a while, I think. Yeah, and it's got to be used. The cast has to come into play, you know, Cowboy Bob Orton style. You know, but we'll talk about that in the prediction show later. Yeah, I mean, great match again. Promo, Brody's promo at the beginning, a little lackluster. Mainly Austin Gunn's fault, but the match was good. Moxley's promo was good. The second Brody promo was good. And getting back to those chair spots, I like when the limb gets put in the chair. I missed the leg, the ankle in the chair, and then you go up to the second rope and jump on it. I think that has more of an impact. But, you know, the chair to chair seems to be the new way to do the gimmick, and I'm all for it. It's all good to me.
Yeah, makes a loud sound.
Yeah, for sure. Coming up next matchup of the night, MJF with Wardlow versus Marco Stunt. This was a match that was signed last week, right on Dynamite. Basically, MJF taking advantage of Marco Stunt having an open contract. Marco willing to wrestle anytime, anywhere against anybody. What did you think of this segment?
Yeah, it was a good match, and I like that they didn't make it a like full on squash match. MJF did control most of the match, but Marco had his, you know, a few times where he got some shots in when MJF was being, you know, kind of cocky. And then in classic MJF style, we get a little bit of a promo at the end, and he takes out the ring and hits him with it. So
yeah,
and then that brought out you know, Jurassic Express, which kind of fuels the feud between him and Jungle Boy. So again, I just like the whole ending of the Moxley match. I think this is, you know, what we're looking for to build to this match at Double or Nothing.
It should be. We should remind everybody how we just returned back to live Dynamites. This is only the third live Dynamite in the past couple weeks. So we really didn't have, you know, a genuine build-up leading into Double or Nothing. we really only had these 3 episodes to build all these stories. But I think AEW is doing a really good job in the short time that they did to at least get some build up, some heat on some of these matches. The Brody and Moxley one was maybe started a little bit before, but like you said, this last episode really turned up the heat and getting the excitement on this match. And the same with this MJF Jungle Boy match. You know, him kind of picking on Marco Stunt and taking him out. You know, they come in with the save, and there's a standoff and whatnot. Really helps turn up the heat for this matchup coming up on Saturday. Let's just talk quickly about Wardlow's little misstep on the stairs. Did you see this?
I did, yeah. I noticed it.
He's too concentrated on Luchasaurus to have the stare down between the big guys, and he totally missed a step, and he just about tumbled. Like,
well, I think we talked about it last week. It's the dress shoes.
Yeah, they're just too slippery,
Yeah.
Just get
they
some.
were, and now I think the Austin Gunn was probably laughing at him. I heard some laughing from the crowd.
Anytime you hear anything annoying out of the crowd, it's Austin Gunn.
Yeah. But I thought he saved it. It didn't look too terrible.
Right.
Most people probably would have missed it.
Oh, it was all over Twitter.
Was it?
Yeah, I was on Twitter pretty much live throughout the show, and yeah, as soon as that happened, it was just like new tweets.
Can't live anything down. In this world,
no. And hopefully we get some comments, and maybe they'll bring it up in the show either on Saturday or next week. That would be really funny.
Oh yeah, I think they have to.
They've done a good job of that. When there's kind of an embarrassing moment, they address it, and they'll bring it to light on the next show or on
Oh yeah, Christopher Daniels still hasn't lived down the
the botch.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next segment of the show. We have the long, I guess you can't say long awaited, but ever since it was announced last week on Dynamite that these two were going to go face to face, people have been really excited about it. And that being the advisor for the Nightmare Family, Arn Anderson, and Lance Archer's right hand in Jake the Snake Roberts. I was not really around, or I should say Arn Anderson really wasn't around much in the WCW days when I was watching. He was already kind of on his way out. There was a failed attempt at bringing back the Four Horsemen and stuff like that, but it just didn't work. So I've never really heard Arn Anderson talk much, so I didn't know what to expect from his point. But I mean, we've been gassing up Jake, ever since he made his return to AEW just before the COVID break. But I was excited for this. What were your thoughts going into this segment?
I probably felt the same as you. I really didn't know what to expect from Arn. He's done kind of the video promos, but they're taped, and who knows how much editing goes into those things.
Right.
We knew Jake was going to bring it like he always does. I don't know. My thoughts on this were it started off good. Jake did his kind of beginning, then Arn waited for him to finish, and then he started, and then it got clunky. Jake interrupted him, and then they were misspeaking, and I don't know. It kind of fell apart there for me.
This might be one of the few segments where a little bit of script, a little bit of rehearsal might have been in order. Because, I agree with what you're saying. Jake kept kind of was about to come in, and Arn's kept talking, cut him off. Don't interrupt me. I mean, they did a good job of saying it, but like you said, it came off really clunky, and it's almost like they weren't on the same page with what was going to be happening for the segment.
Yeah.
So, and then Shawn Spears wasn't helping either. As much as Austin Gunn was being annoying on this side of the ring, you got Shawn Spears on this side, yelling his head off. He's got the wood blocks he keeps clacking together, and I'm sure that's him with the horn. You know, that was pretty much a staple through the whole show. Is just like I said, Tony Khan's probably telling these guys to make some noise, but sometimes it's just like too much. But
Yeah.
anyways, we get what looks like gonna be, you know, they're teasing at this match like do you want to see Arn Anderson versus Jake the Snake Roberts 2020? Like,
no.
they're teasing it.
Like, Jake does not look in good shape. And, you know, the way that he put the moves on Brandy, like, I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
I don't know about Arn. We haven't really seen him. I think I think he punched out MJF at one of the pay-per-views or something like that.
Yeah.
But we haven't really seen, you know, what the abilities are. Even though, you know, these are two legends, and in theory, it sounds like this would be a good thing. I think it would ruin them. I don't see this being a good match.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I don't want to see a match. Let's just put that out there. I don't want to hear a ring bell and there needs to be a pinfall or submission to have it end. I don't mind these two getting involved, you know. So maybe, I mean, I'll elaborate more on this on the prediction show, but maybe during the Cody match, at some point, these two, you know, get together and there's some punches thrown and maybe one of them takes a bump.
But I mean, I think during this interview, like, Jake challenges them. Like,
yeah, like I said,
go anytime, anywhere.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they're teasing this match, but I'm telling you, nobody wants to see this. Nobody wants to see this. Going into what you kind of mentioned, that you hadn't seen these guys and how they're moving lately. Last time I seen Jake Roberts do any kind of sort of wrestling was the Raw 25 anniversary show, which I can't even remember when that was, but I mean, that's got to be 4 or 5 years ago now. 93, 2018. It would have been 2018, Raw 25. He comes out on Raw. He's got the bag, and this is like fresh after the resurrection of Jake the Snake came out. That whole documentary of him and Diamond Dallas Page and him doing the DDPY and all that stuff. So he was like in great shape, and he comes out and he DDTs Xavier Woods or something like that. Brings the snake out, throws it on him, did the whole bit, and he looked great. But like I said, that's over 2 years ago now. You know, he's let himself go a little bit. I mean, he is getting older. That happens. But, and then Arn, the last time I seen Arn do anything besides what you mentioned is him punching out MJF, probably at Revolution. I want to assume that happened. But he got involved in WWE at the Starrcade Resurrection special, and he came out and spinebustered Dolph Ziggler. And that did not look good. Like, he could barely get into the ring. He could barely run down to the ring. He tried to slide in. It did not look good. And then he gets up and, like, I'm pretty sure if Dolph wasn't there to meet him into the spine buster, Arn would have fell on his face because he was stumbling. You know what I mean? Like, it just looked bad. Yeah. So, I mean, if it creates some viewership, I'm all for it. But don't have a match. Tease it all you want, but don't let it happen.
Yeah. Even book it. Promo the heck out of it, but then for some reason it doesn't happen.
Right. They get in the ring and then, you know, Cody and Lance fuck it up or something. You know, like, it scares me. It scares me to think.
It does scare me. Yeah.
I mean,
but Tyson's going to be apparently in this match. That's what I'm getting from what Arn's saying.
Arn said, yeah, basically he's been given free range. He can go anywhere he wants during the match. This reminds me of WrestleMania 14, Austin versus Michaels, Tyson's special guest enforcer. Could you see AEW doing like a straight ripoff? We'll talk about that in the prediction show. All right.
All right.
Mike Tyson.
I'll write it down.
Free range, to do whatever he pleases during the TNT Championship match. It'll be interesting to see where they go with this. Let's keep the show rolling along. We have the next matchup of the night: Orange Cassidy versus Ray Phoenix. This is another match that we got booked from last week. Orange Cassidy was trying to get Trent, pumped up during that tag team match last week, and Ray Phoenix comes out of nowhere and basically Bruce Lee's him right in the face. Like that was a pretty deadly kick we talked about last week. So I have kind of a confession to make leading into this match. I was super confused last week. Like, why is Ray Phoenix coming out of nowhere and kicking Orange Cassidy? And it wasn't until the Pac promo just before this match that I remembered about Death Triangle. And yeah, like their big feud was with the Best Friends before this whole world situation happened. So I totally forgotten about that. And then, yeah, I was like, oh yeah, Pac. Yeah, what's this about? And then he mentions Death Triangle. And I was like, oh my God. I thought we were done with this shit. But, I mean, I went right to Twitter. I had to put the member berries up there. Like, remember Death Triangle? Like,
I remember.
So, yeah, I mean, now it totally makes sense. Yeah, Ray Phoenix is going to come out, kick Orange Cassidy in the face, reignite that feud. What did you think of this match overall?
I thought it was well executed.
Yeah.
Right from the very beginning. So Ray Phoenix tries to do the same as last week. He comes out with the flying Bruce Lee kick, but this time Orange gets the better of him and just steps back out of the way. I thought that was good. Orange just strolls to the ring, and Ray Phoenix is like, all right, this is how this is gonna go, eh? And they're two really, really good technical wrestlers, so it was just a really good technical match. They both got their spots in. Phoenix even had some different moves than I feel we've seen him do before, which is really cool. But it was really at the end of the match where business really picked up, nice. So to speak here.
Yeah, getting into this match, I enjoyed Orange Cassidy. I mean, we've talked about it before, and he's kind of known for the lazy kicks and whatnot, and that's kind of his gimmick, which he did do at the beginning. He kind of strolled to the ring, like you said. He rolls under, giving the thumbs up, all that stuff. So he got his stuff in, but when the match happened, I think I've said this to you as like, if this guy ever tries, like he's gonna be a star, because you could see the athleticism that this guy has. And I mean, when he gets in the ring with someone like Ray Phoenix, we saw hints of it against Pac at Revolution, but I think this was really his coming out party. Like, this guy wrestled a full match, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
Don't people out there who like to trash the comedic side of wrestling and stuff like that, don't sleep on Orange Cassidy. This guy is the real deal. And
do you know anybody like that?
I know somebody.
Okay.
Actually, I know a couple people, but I mean, names don't need to be mentioned. Right. Jason Corvette.
Is that your allergies?
That's my allergies kicking up. Sorry, something in my nose. But
so towards the end of this match, Kip Sabian comes to the ring and he brings a ladder. Now, all these guys that get involved here at the end are all involved in the what are they calling it?
The casino ladder match.
Yeah. So this is hyping up that match, and I like this.
I thought it could have been done better. I don't know. Kip Sabian just kind of coming out and then sitting on the ladder. I feel like, yeah, it did the job, but we could have been a little bit more creative. I feel like. I don't know.
Well, I think they only did that just because of the SCU coming out.
Yeah.
It's like they had to figure out a way to get everybody involved because there's so many people in this match, right?
Right. It's going to be a 9-man match.
Yeah. So SCU comes out, kicks Kip off the ladder. Jimmy comes out to help out his partner, super bad squad partner.
Super bad name. Yep.
And then Ray Phoenix dies.
Oh God.
So, R.I.P. Ray Phoenix.
Yeah. Like there's no reason for that to happen. Like they were all right there. They were all waiting for Ray to do the spot, and then they just didn't catch him.
Yeah, I don't know. Did they think that he was gonna travel further?
But even still, he was in the air for 30 seconds. Just take a step forward and catch the guy.
Yeah. In case you guys didn't see what happened, Phoenix does his where he's on the ropes and then he jumps up to the top rope and then he does the flip onto everybody who's on the side of the ring, except that nobody catches him and he falls, like, I want to say right on his kidneys. Like,
he was kind of favoring one side, but yeah, he landed directly on his back. And, you got to think the breath was out of him on that one.
Yeah,
and sure. Then, I mean, he totally misses the pack. They all sell it. And then to add insult to injury, Best Friends come out and launch Orange Cassidy right after, and everybody lands on top of Ray Phoenix again. So he got like...
Well, it happened twice because Cole Cabana
came and did a moonsault. Colt did it too, and they all landed on him.
and Rick Knox is out there trying to see if he's okay.
Yeah, I think Rick had to take a couple bumps there too after trying to make sure that Ray wasn't dying of suffocation from the air getting knocked out of him. But yeah, it was crazy. Best Friends kind of launched Orange a little too hard too, and his feet came down on the guardrail. So I mean, exciting stuff, but like, you got to be safe, boys. This is a big match. You know, you could really ruin it. I heard...
Is it safety, or are they just a little bit too hyped up sometimes?
Well, I think sometimes, maybe. But them not catching Ray, that's inexcusable. You have to be able to see that he's not going to make it to the pack, and you need to adjust. It may look bad on TV, but you don't let somebody take that fall. That's atrocious.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put too much blame on anybody, but I mean, he was at the front camera. He was camera close, closest to the camera. So that's all I saw. But Frankie Kazarian, man, that's on you. You're the veteran of those 4 guys that were all out there. You need to catch that guy, even if it hurts you a little bit more. But like, I don't know. I didn't like it. Gunn. I blame. Yeah, he was yelling. They all turned back to see what was going on.
Distracted.
Fucking
they were telling him to shut up.
Yeah. But either way, I want to elaborate on this a little bit more come the prediction show, but there were some rumors coming out of last night's episode that 2 AEW stars have been injured that may affect Double or Nothing. I wonder if Ray's one of them. And I wouldn't be surprised if he had to back out of this match because of that fall, which would be terrible because I'm sure, being a ladder match and whatnot, I'm sure he was a big part of a lot of spots going into this match. So that will suck if he's not a part of it, but hopefully he's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's move on to the next matchup of the night. I hate to say this 2 weeks in a row, but probably the low spot of the episode. Women's tag team match, trying to build on both women's matches that we're going to get at Double or Nothing. We got the heels, Nyla Rose and Britt Baker, going against the faces, Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander. This match sucked. There's no sugarcoating this. There were moments where it was really good, but there was far too many moments where there was just no chemistry. There's no communication. Definitely one of the injuries that's going to affect happened in this show or in this match, and yeah, it was just bad. It was bad. I can't fake on this one, man. This was a bad match, and for it to ruin one of the matches for the card, like that just it can't happen. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought the beginning started off really well. But yeah, it just
It fell apart.
yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. And it just seems to be. I want to say the common threads here are Statlander and Rose.
Yeah.
Like every time we have one of these, it's those two, and it's weird because they're like two of my favorite women's wrestlers.
Yeah.
In AEW. So, yeah. So what's the injury? I don't think I caught this.
So I didn't catch it. I had to go back and watch it again. But near the end of the match, Britt Baker is selling her knee, and she's like on the edge of the apron, holding her knee. The doctor was out there talking to her. The match was still going on. So I was like, well, when did this happen? And it happened midway through the match, shortly after the commercial break when Nyla forced Britt into the match. So she was working for a little bit. Everybody gets in the ring at once. Britt's down in the corner, Raven style. And Sheeta and Statlander basically throw Nyla Rose into Britt. And if you watch closely, right at the last second as Britt's about to brace for impact, she bends her knees up. Like, I mean, I'm sure that's just a natural reaction. I don't know if that's the way it does, and it's just a bad accident. But Nyla lands right on her right knee, and all of a sudden it's flat. So, like, her knee is knocked up, not knocked up, but her knee is banged up right now. Potential ACL, like it's done. I haven't gotten any news on if that's for sure or not, but I'd seen some videos on YouTube that said 2 superstars injured on Wednesday that will affect Double or Nothing, and I have to think that this is for sure one of them. So this Britt Baker Chris Statlander match for Saturday might not happen, but I haven't gotten any confirmation that Britt is able or not able to go on Saturday. But it looked nasty. It looked nasty the second time I watched it. But yeah, as for the match itself, like I understood what they were doing story-wise with this match. Nyla is basically 2-on-1. Britt doesn't want to tag in. Then the force tag in. The match falls apart because Britt's in there. Like, that's all just classic storytelling. But I think just the execution, it was just... I like to give people the benefit of the doubt a lot of time while I'm watching a match. And I'll try to lean towards more of the story side of it. As long as they're telling the story, it's usually a decent match. But, I mean, the execution of this, it was just too bad to ignore. Like you said, the common denominator is Nyla and Chris Statlander. And, I mean, people forget that Chris Statlander's only been in the business for like 2 years. Like, she's still green, and it shows. She had a really good first impression. I mean, those first few weeks that we saw her at the beginning of the year, kind of leading up into Revolution, were really good. And yeah, I was like, yeah, man, this girl's going to be a star. But, the mistakes are starting to shine through more and more. And I hate to say it, but it all started with that Revolution match against Nyla Rose. And
yeah.
So
I you know what, you mentioned communication, and I wonder if that's it, is that these ladies need to learn that they're working
together
as a unit
yeah
to make the match rather than individual.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet
especially
that's
in a
part of it.
match like this.
Especially when Chris Statlander doesn't speak very good English. You know, she's an alien. She's only been on the planet for a little while, so that's
True,
probably where
true.
the communication is.
But
Breaking
she
down.
lifted up Nyla Rose in this match. I thought that was
Yeah,
like, she is powerful, man.
yeah.
If she can just figure out how to work with someone, she's gonna be good.
I didn't want to bring this up because it's not a big deal, but I don't know. Since we're on it and I'm fired up, Chris Statlander, you know, I always think of a comment that Bret Hart made about Chris Jericho and how he just you can see him calling the spots in the ring and stuff like that, and Bret always hated that. Bret Hart always felt it was a lost art in calling a match in the ring and being able to hide it. You know, he's kind of old school that way. But Statlander in this match, there's a moment where she has Britt Baker kind of in a headlock motion, and she turns around and says, "Nyla, are you gonna jump on us?" Like, it was really bad. And then, sure enough, Nyla's climbing the rope and takes everybody out. It was, I'm like, oh, that's bad. Like, I think that's where I checked out of the match, but it is what it is. Baker and Rose do get the win in this one. After the match, Nyla kind of bringing back her heel gimmick where she's putting everybody through tables, gets the table, sets it up in the ring, but Sheeta and Statlander kind of do the reversal, and they get kind of the superplex into the table on Rose, which again just kind of turns up the heat for this AEW Women's Championship match. So I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I think Rose and Sheeta will work a lot better together than with the other girls. So I'm still excited for this match coming up on Saturday.
Yeah, I think if one of the matches needed to go, I wouldn't be sad about the Statlander Baker one. Although I don't know, we've really been liking what Baker's been doing lately with her heel character. So I don't know if they just straight out replace her, or maybe she'll make it. Who knows?
Who knows? Like I said, I haven't gotten any confirmation. I've been watching Britt's Twitter to see if she's given us an update. Tony Khan hasn't given an update. So yeah, I guess it's still up in the air. It might be a game time decision on what, but we'll talk about that more on the prediction show coming up in a bit. Let's move on to another new segment in the on the show. I'm kind of excited to see more of this, and that's Sean Spears News, SSN, with correspondent Sean Spears, of course. I really liked this. This is perfect for Sean. What did you think of it?
I enjoyed it too. If I got a vote, I would say we need to see more of this. So hopefully it's not a one and done.
There's a lot of potential for this. A lot of potential. If Sean could get, I mean, he's kind of, there's no like official faction, but he's kind of working with MJF and Wardlow. They're obviously friends. They've been betting on matches, but could you just see, like, and let's throw to our on location correspondent MJF, and then MJF's part of it, you know, or if they found somebody else to work with him, like, there's so much potential with this bit. And if this is how Sean Spears starts calling out matches and stuff like that, which he does in this instance, he basically challenges the supposed retired Dustin Rhodes, which is an official match, we know now, for Double or Nothing. Like, I think it's great, and Sean Spears did such a good job in it. He played it straight. It worked. That's all I can say.
Yeah, no, I liked it. It's got to happen more. And we've been saying that Sean needs to get more TV time.
Yeah.
So, you know, this was probably his idea. It worked for me. It worked for you.
Yep,
So let's see more of it.
for sure. So, yeah, news coming out of the Sean Spears newsroom. Sean Spears versus Dustin Rhodes at Double or Nothing, and we will talk about it more on the prediction show. I feel like I'm saying that a lot in this episode, but let's move on to the main event of the evening. We have the Spanish God Sammy Guevara versus Broken Matt Hardy. Great match. Great match.
This is a match that we were looking forward to for a few weeks now.
Well, yeah, when the Ultimate Deletion match didn't go through, Damascus was kind of challenging Chris Jericho there for a while, and it didn't come to fruition. So they addressed it, and Matt Hardy challenges Sammy, and then again we didn't get it. So we're finally getting the payoff to all that. But yeah, this was a good match. Like these two work well together. I think it's just an attestament. Is that a word? That
Yep.
yeah, that Sammy Guevara is years ahead of himself, of his maturity. Like this guy's a way better wrestler for what he should be at his age. It's amazing.
Yeah. It was the perfect combination. Like you have this young, athletic, obviously, a student of the game, and then you have the veteran, and yeah, it just worked. It was a very, very good match from start to end.
For sure. And I think I totally forgot to mention it at the beginning of the show. Inner Circle kind of shows up in the limousine, and they say they got something in store for the Elite tonight, and we kind of see what that's all about. After Matt Hardy picks up the win with the twist of fate, out comes Inner Circle, and or no, they came up on the screen, right? And they got Kenny. They got Kenny tied up to the goalposts, and basically just beat him with that Inner Circle bat. And right away, Matt Hardy jumps out of the ring and makes his way up the stairs towards the football field. But we just get the classic pull apart, kind of brawl for all, if you will. Young Bucks make their long-awaited return, to try to even up the score there. Finally, Matt Hardy gets to the football field. Sammy Guevara finally, I believe, makes it there, and they're all battling. But kind of the big pop of the night is, I don't know how early you saw it. I saw it way before the commentators made reference to it, but there's the Blur just sprinting at the 50-yard line. I'm like, that's Hangman! That's Hangman! It's Hangman! And then, yeah, finally, when he gets close, the commentators call it, but like, yeah, huge clothesline, Hangman out of nowhere. Yeah, I'm super pumped for this Stadium Stampede match. It sounds like they're gonna have a separate ring set up right at the 50-yard line. So there goes my prediction from last week's episode that the pin will happen on the 50-yard line. I mean, I guess essentially it would still happen, but I think it doesn't have the same impact if that's where the ring is. But this isn't Falls Count Anywhere match, so it could be anywhere. But yeah, I don't know if you noticed they had the Elite painted in the end zone. So I can.
Oh no, I never.
Yeah. So you know how they'll have like Jaguars or whatever kind of painted in the end zones. They had the Elite, and then at the end of the episode, when the Elite are kind of victorious in the little brawl, they pan up and call back to the street fight a couple weeks ago, and there's the Inner Circle on the big screen. They have the Elite. So I'm only assuming that on the other side of the stadium is going to be Inner Circle, where we saw the Inner Circle up on the big screen there. I think it just only makes sense. But yeah, super excited about this Stadium Stampede match. Like, there's a lot they can do. Hopefully it turns out.
Yeah. I mean, if the last 2 weeks are the last two Dynamite shows are any indication as to what this is going to be, it's going to be a good one.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of funny, quickly, how this Inner Circle versus Elite has kind of been the center, the main focal point, the one that's been getting the most build. Mind you, they've essentially kind of all been there, minus the Young Bucks and Hangman. But I mean, this Elite Inner Circle feud has been the focal point leading into Double or Nothing. Do you think that the Stadium Stampede series is the main event for Double or Nothing, or do they give it to one of the championship matches?
I think that the John Moxley will be the main event, and I only say that because I'm pretty sure I caught JR saying it would be the main event.
Oh, okay.
During that first the John Moxley versus 10 match, he says main event.
Right.
So I'm only gonna assume that.
But
which might really suck for those guys, because where are they going to put this match?
I think anything that follows this match is going to hurt because I'm assuming it's going to be huge and it's going to have an amazing, oh my God moment to end it. And anything that follows is just going to seem cheesy almost.
So then would it make sense for you to put this as like the opening match? Just so like by the time it gets to the main event, you've kind of...
There's build again? Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a tough... Like, Tony Khan's got a tough decision on how he orders these matches. Because I think you can go either way. Like, the TNT Championship match being a new championship match... There's an argument that should end the show too.
Yeah.
And there's possibilities there. There's possibilities there for, the TNT Championship match ends, Mike Tyson gets involved. Someone can come in and, there could be a debut. And someone can be the immediate challenger for this new TNT Championship. Like, and then that's a good moment to end the show off. There's a lot that can be done there, or a lot to argue that that's a match that could go on last too. And let's not forget about this Casino Ladder match.
Yeah,
like there's going to be
there's going to be crazy in it too.
Yeah, there's going to be a surprise entrance in that too. So, Tony Khan's got his handful leading into Double or Nothing on Saturday.
Do we normally find out what the matches are, like what the order is?
No. I feel
so we won't know until Saturday.
I feel like people, like when you go to the websites to see exactly what matches are, like the order is still up for debate. I don't think it's ever been exactly what the websites say. I guess if I've never checked AEW.com to see if they have an official match card, I would assume that that's kind of the order that they would go with. But I mean, we have 4 really big matches that all have arguments on which will main event.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's indicative of anniversary shows. WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Double or Nothing is basically, the WrestleMania for AEW. It's kind of their big staple show is how they call it. So yeah, 4 big matches. They can all be main events. It'll be interesting to see how they lay it out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so let's end our weekly episode of IWP there. It wasn't the best week of wrestling. I know in the last few weeks I've kind of been gassing up how big of a week of wrestling we had, but this week fell a little bit short, if I'm being brutally honest. BTE wasn't all that good. We had some good spots in AEW Dark, and there were some real low points on Dynamite this week. Wasn't their best work, but I mean, still better than anything else we could watch on TV, right? So
True that.
So with that, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave comments below on what you thought of this week's episode of Dynamite and AEW Dark and Being the Elite. Tell us if we're wrong for thinking that the women's tag team match was a complete dud and whatnot, and I'll argue to the death with you because that match sucked. I'm sorry. It sucked. But thanks for watching. Again, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave us some comments below, and we'll catch you on the prediction show coming up tomorrow. Peace out, everybody. Fuck you,
Peace.
Jason Corvette.